now they are vulnerable. His girlfriend mentions that gossip about famous people is common and often lacks credibility, but when it's about such specific information regarding someone who isn't famous, this hacker poses a danger to them. Zhang Yi says he wanted to kill him right away, but perhaps their data will still be leaked even after defeating this guy. She tries to think of a solution. Zhou Qier mentions that in the past, technology companies would go as far as to hire people to eliminate hackers to prevent their data from being leaked, but these people always left a way for the information to leak in case something happened to them. With this, Zhang Yi is sure this person must also have such a precaution, so just killing him won't be enough. For sure, their evidence will leak out. Zhou Qier then says they've thought enough for today. It's best to relax a bit. However, he insists that this problem cannot be put off. Yang Mi passes through the room, heading towards the cultivation room. As she is famous, the protagonist explains the problem to her and asks for her opinion. Yang Mi says this is exactly like people spreading rumors about famous people on the internet. Then suddenly Zhang Yi has an idea. If he does something so that when the information leaks, it will be treated as just a rumor. The two confusedly ask what he intends to do. He says he'll prepare first and then explain. Going to his control room, the hacker calls him, asking if he has separated the supplies. Zhang Yi angrily says that if it weren't for the information he has, he would kill him right now. On the other end of the phone, the hacker starts laughing. If anything happens to me, your information will automatically be sent to everyone's phone in the city within 24 hours. You'd better think carefully about the consequences. At that moment, Zhang Yi is certain that he has 24 hours to act, so he says the man is tough and he will cooperate with him, and then he hangs up the phone. The protagonist's plan is to spread rumors about the Walmart theft through all media channels. By spreading rumors, he will bury the truth in a sea of lies, so no one in the city will believe it. After spreading false information, Zhang Yi stretches, grabs his backpack, and says it's time to take out the trash once again. He puts the backpack in the designated location and moves away to a considerable distance. He hides behind a tree with his rifle, aiming where his target will soon be. He sends a message to the hacker saying he has already delivered what he promised and left. However, even after a while, there is no response, and no one comes out to pick up his backpack. After waiting for a long time and seeing no sign of the person leaving to pick up the backpack, he thinks about calling the hacker or sending a message asking if he has already picked up the supplies. However, he changes his mind. If he asks if he has picked up the supplies, it may raise more suspicion. So more time passes, perhaps hours, and finally the door opens and someone tries to pick up the backpack. Zhang Yi has never pulled a trigger with such determination in his life as he does now. In an instant, a laser pierces the man's head. He rushes to the scene and to ensure his enemy is neutralized, he shoots him a few more times. Then he enters the house to search for things and notices a notebook. His idea was to destroy it right away, but surely it must contain important information that he can access later, so he decides to store everything in his storage space. Now, everything is done, and he leaves. Zhang Yi returns home relieved, stretching in his comfortable house. This time Zhou Qier made the food. As he is served by the two girls, he asks if they received messages on their phones. They say yes, and show some messages about a Walmart warehouse theft. He tells them that's what he did. He spread dozens of messages with false information, and when the true information leaks, it will be lost amidst a bunch of lies. In the control room, he programmed these messages to be sent daily for a while. Impressed by this, Yang Mi says he's amazing. She recalls that it was common among stars who were exposed due to some scandal to be forgotten if another famous person was exposed for something later. He did something similar to that. The girl thinks that besides being handsome, he's very intelligent. Zhou Qier asks, what if there's still a risk of people coming after them here? Isn't it still dangerous? Zhang Yi is silent for a while, and then Zhou Qier says she doesn't doubt his methods, but in Tianhui City, there are several people who deal with technology like the hacker, and others could also hack into the security system of their house. Zhang Yi agrees and says that indeed, unless the world returns to the Stone Age, they run this risk. The two girls, upon hearing that they are constantly at risk, even behind the security system, become scared, but Zhang Yi says they can solve this in another way. However, just thinking that he might be attacked unprepared leaves a bitter taste in his mouth, so he says this safe haven will become even safer. Zhang Yi tells the girls that he is confident and can keep this place safe, but they can't just sit around. For some reason, the redhead becomes shy thinking about something. Zhang Yi, unsure if she's that mischievous, gives her a smack on the head and says they'll set traps to reinforce security, not rely on technology. Zhang Yi explains that this bunker was prepared for large-scale threats like bombs and airstrikes. However, there isn't much security against attacks by people as he would like, so they will prepare defenses against people trying to invade the place. The two beauties, excited, say they will do anything he asks. Zhang Yi takes out from his storage space a pile of nails and wood. With this, they will make traps. They'll nail nails into wood and bury them in the snow. He also explains how other traps will work. While they manufacture them, he thinks that after realizing there are traps, they might start using equipment to dig up all the traps. It was thinking about this that he had another idea. They started placing some traps, and Zhang Yi buried some explosives. If you try to dig this up, you'll be eliminated. He also hides grenades with tied lines, and people passing by dragging things to unearth the traps will be blown up too. Finally, after much effort, they made good protection in the areas around their mansion. Returning home, Yang Mi asks when invaders are coming so she can see the traps in action. Zhang Yi asks if she's crazy. It's better that they never need to use them. Sitting on his couch, he says that most people with common sense won't try to attack a fortress at a time when everyone wants to keep intruders away. Only then does she understand. It's better to have these traps this as a precaution only. Before she realizes it, Zhang Yi is already making another security mechanism. Even though they have digital locks, he prefers to have mechanical locks as well, so he can lock the door and no one can open it from the outside. Quickly, the front door now has 3 times more security. Yang Mi begins to be sure that joining this guy was the best thing she did. Surely she will have a much safer life than anywhere else, and also very pleasurable. Even with these measures, Zhang Yi says it would be good to have someone who is great at internet and security with them, so they could be sure that the digital security of the house would be truly secure. Yang Mi comments that if Shinshin were here, it would be great. Jokir then asks if Shinshin was living in the city and if she should be alive. This girl is Yang Mi's sister and a computer prodigy. Because she is wheelchair bound, she loves computers and technology. The 2 girls living with him are beautiful, and it's no wonder they resemble each other. They're cousins. Interestingly, they themselves mention another cousin who's a technology expert. Perhaps she could take care of the house's security. The first thing Zhang Yi wondered is if this girl is as pretty as the other 2. And you know what? She's wheelchair bound, but for him, that doesn't matter at all. What matters is being beautiful for him to engage in mischief. Hearing this, Zhang Yi asks how they can find her. Yang Mi says they haven't heard from her in a while. She doesn't answer their calls. She hopes her sister is alive and safe. Zhang Yi suggests that maybe she's too smart to want to talk to them, and that's why she hasn't responded. The girl gets angry at this. He continues, saying that perhaps everyone in her family are geniuses, and she's the only one without any qualifications. Yang Mi gets mad again at the protagonist for being mean. He says it's okay. At least she's beautiful, and that's as valuable as being smart. However, at this moment, they have more important things to worry about in the coming days. He spent the next few days training his new archery skill, and it seems now he can reinforce his projects and shoot targets with more precision. This new skill he might be able to use on his own body. Upon testing, he realizes that he might be considered invincible now. However, with the little use he made of it, his stomach growls with hunger. Apparently, the more powerful the ability, the more it consumes his body's energy. So, I wonder how much energy it takes to put things in another dimension. If energy is needed to use his powers, he who has an unlimited food supply can use as much power as he wants, while other people who don't have as much food won't be able to use their powers freely. In a secret defense location, the head of the facility is concerned about the military base's electrical energy limitation. His secretary approaches him with the reports and informs that they received the analysis of recent information. According to her, various pieces of information about a supermarket robbery that happened months ago were reported, but among the messages, one is special. She mentions a man named Zhang Yi as responsible for the theft of a large warehouse. The report regarding this Zhang Yi indicates that he was a warehouse supervisor and the main suspect in the theft of supplies. Hearing that the young supervisor was responsible for planning a robbery that even the police couldn't uncover, the man doubts and belittles the protagonist. He asserts that this information is also undoubtedly false. However, at the insistence of his employee, he decides to send people to investigate this Zhang Yi's base. Now, in another location, in the castle where the otaku who lost to Zhang Yi resides, he cries and tastes defeat. Chun thought he had godlike powers, but unfortunately, he has just discovered that he's not the protagonist of this world. He wonders if he's merely a mere supporting character, while Zhang Yi is the true protagonist, blessed by God. As he lamented, Chun also received on his phone the leaked report mentioning that Zhang Yi is responsible for the theft of goods from a large warehouse months ago. This piqued his interest. Chun conducted some research and found out that Zhang Yi is associated with a past cargo theft, so considering how he faced him, he could have used those same powers to rob the warehouse. Chun deduces that Zhang Yi has something related to space, and that he can put things in an alternate space. Realizing how absurd this ability would be, he becomes sad again, and lies down on the bed, feeling weak compared to the protagonist. Speaking with his wife, Chun asks if Zhang Yi is the protagonist of this life, and if he's a villain or just a supporting character. Against that person, Chun absolutely couldn't win. He then thinks whether it would be better to try to befriend him instead of facing him. Content with this idea, he decides to warn the villagers. Rushing to his grandfather, he asserts that that person is very powerful, and they shouldn't confront him. He tells everything he knows, how Zhang Yi is powerful, and can nullify his abilities. Moreover, he must have an even more incredible ability. So, Chun says they should avoid Zhang Yi's area, and find ways not to confront him. The otaku Chun talks about the recent leaked news that the protagonist was a warehouse supervisor at Walmart, who stole all the goods. He has the power to keep all that under his possession, but instead of convincing the old man that Zhang Yi was too powerful to face, it only motivates him further. The old man's thought is if they could steal what the protagonist has, they would never go hungry for a long time. Reluctantly and with fear, Chun says they're crazy, but the old man underestimates him, saying he was just a supervisor. What could he do against the entire Shu family? Meanwhile, everything is calm in his comfortable home. Zhang Yi is eating with his wives. While Yang Mi was saying something, she hears a noise at the window. Zhang Yi says it's okay and goes to check it out. He goes to the window to look. Using his binoculars, he notices many people approaching his house. He takes out his rifle to observe better. His intention is simply to let his traps do their job. One of them steps on the first trap and feels a lot of pain. Another person tells them to help him and take him back. The old leader of the tribe warns that there may be hidden traps. Everyone needs to find them and and be careful. As the men advance with sticks searching for the traps, they finally approach Zhang Yi's house. With the sticks, they manage to track the traps and advance without problems. One of them picks up the traps, and when he crosses a grenade line, an explosion among them shocks everyone. Even those who weren't caught in the explosion directly were hit by the shrapnel. Due to the pain of these injuries, they roll on the ground, and more bombs are activated. After a series of explosions and running, many people were caught in the nail traps or explosions. Now everyone was afraid and retreating. What could they do to advance safely? The men question the tribe's leader. What can they do without his grandson? They won't be able to attack and defeat that person. Cornered, they wonder why the leader's grandson isn't here. He has superpowers and should help. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi observes everything with his rifle and other high-tech equipment to see precisely what they're doing. The old man remembers his grandson's advice, not to confront the protagonist. With no choice, the leader shouts for all to hear, questioning why they can't defeat just one person. These people have grown accustomed to relying on others. They must fight with their own hands to get what they want. Together, they must secure the luxuries within that house. He hands a spyglass to the men to see the prize, along with plenty of food for them to enjoy as an extra reward. As they confirm by looking, indeed, what's inside is very tasty. Yet, even with so many rewards before them, they doubt if they can fight without the leader's grandson present. The old man angrily shouts that if they fail, they are nothing but useless. With this motivation, they decide to use tricks to disable the traps and bombs from a distance. Slowly but surely, this tactic starts working, and they edge closer to Zhang Yi's secure house. The men were confident that they were now safe. The girls watch everything apprehensively from the window. Yang Mi feels sorry for how many will die and if they'll be okay. Meanwhile, Zhou Qier says they're idiots and don't realize they're no match for her boyfriend. At the right moment, Zhang Yi remotely triggers the bombs, exploding them all at once. This destruction, unlike the grenades, was precise, and most of them were caught in the blast and remained in that state. With a somber look, Zhang Yi says they should have turned back when they realized there were traps. Now that they decided to advance, he doesn't lament the death of dozens of enemies. The devastation was so great that even Zhou Qier, who was previously excited, felt sorry for these people. Yang Mi isn't accustomed to Zhang Yi's actions. Seeing people in pieces, she vomits. Zhang Yi observes coldly and remarks that those who die instantly are lucky. Those who linger in agony are unlucky. The elders who were behind are terrified. Almost all are lifeless. The leader falls backward, saying that person is a demon. He must be an evil demon to do this to them unfairly. He screams in despair. Everyone died because of his orders. He only wanted supplies for his people. This wasn't supposed to happen. Zhang Yi puts away his rifle and takes his bow and arrows that he's been practicing with. Using his new abilities, he shoots 3 arrows simultaneously, perfectly piercing the foreheads of 3 people. Triple headshot. More and more arrows are fired, and they all accurately take down the enemies. The old leader, seeing more dying, slaps himself and says it's his fault. Then he asks Zhang Yi to finish him off too. The protagonist was about to fulfill his wish, but an ice whirlwind obscures his vision, and the arrows reach. Without concern, Zhang Yi retrieves his rifle. With it, he can hit anything from a distance. The otaku shouts for everyone to flee while he maintains an ice barrier. People start to retreat with the wounded, while Chun remains determined. Zhang Yi stays calm and says he has another idea. He grabs a vest and tells his wives he'll be back soon. Chun was convinced everything was fine, but a snowmobile comes quickly with a madman shooting at everyone from the window. The desperate people running have no chance. Even Chun's life is at risk now. One of them helps the otaku so he can join the retreat. Zhang Yi pursues them by car, getting close to them again and then shooting from the window once more. Chun starts to feel the fear that perhaps no one will survive. He shouts for them to abandon the bodies they're carrying to bury them later. By reducing their weight, they could be faster, though reluctantly, as burying their dead is an important tradition for them. They decide to do as he commands. They toss the bodies out. Even though Zhang Yi has to dodge the bodies, he still manages to be faster and land double headshots on several people. Chun now has to flee. He's scared. An idea crosses his mind. He realizes he could do something to stop the car. This time, he uses his power to crack the ground in the car's path, causing it to get stuck in the ice. Zhang Yi still tries to shoot more people as they flee until they're too far. He says that now these people know they're powerless against him. They'll never think of coming back. He pulls his car out of the hole, goes among the bodies, and returns to his wives. Back at his house, while Young Mi is stunned by what happened, Zhou Qier is calm and asks what happened. Did he manage to defeat the one with special abilities? Zhang Yi explains that no, that person was clever and managed to escape with a few others. Chun returns to his tribe with the few survivors. The people from his own tribe start to judge him because he wasn't in the fight from the beginning. Everyone died. If he had been with his people, they would have had the supplies from that house. One of them tells the otaku to go with him to the village chief's house. Before he enters, a girl blames the otaku. It's all his fault. If he had gone with them earlier, their husbands and children wouldn't have died. The elder tells them that this isn't the time to argue about it. He tells the otaku to come in because his grandfather is calling him. The tribe leader tells Chun to come closer. The old man says that the blame for so many injuries lies with him. The weight of the deaths of so many members of Shu village must rest on him, not on Chun. His grandson warned, but the old man was arrogant and led everyone into battle. If they're going to blame anyone, blame the old man, not his grandson. Crying, the old man says he entrusts the Shu family to his grandson and that he's ready to die now. The old man, saying he's also tired, dies. At that moment, all the residents come rushing in. The leader they love loved so much has just passed away. As he leaves, Chun thinks about his grandfather asking him to take care of the family. Chun doesn't know how to take care of himself, let alone everyone else. Confused, not knowing what to do, he notices a girl leaning against the wall. Approaching her, she asks if he's the real brother Chun. He blushes and looks foolish, saying yes. And who is she? The girl says her name is Shu Lili, and thanks to him, her father survived and returned from that last battle alive. He feels embarrassed and says it's not that big of a deal. However, this makes Chun realize that he shouldn't blame himself for the deaths of other people. In fact, he's a hero and saved several people. Her father couldn't come to thank him, but she came in his place. Some people recognize his worth. He says it's alright, they're from the same village and should always help each other. She leaves, and he stays behind, his heart pounding. Has the otaku's heart been hooked by 3D for the first time? In the innocent's mind, he was already thinking about the children they will have together. Have you gone crazy? Returning home, he thinks of a way to protect his village from the protagonist. Chun now knows he's the real danger. Racking his brains over it, the otaku comes up with a plan and is about to put it into action right away to protect the village people and his future girlfriend.
Yeah, boy.
We go back to the protagonist preparing more traps to replace the ones already used. His thought is that as soon as he gets a chance, he'll finish off all those who came to attack him. Then, back inside, Zhang Yi is exhausted from so much work, so the two girls come to help the legendary pervert relax. I didn't understand where Joke here wanted to massage, but I think it should be nice. During the relaxation time, Zhang Yi sees his phone ringing. He picks up his Xiaomi and wonders who it could be this time. Hello, who's this? On the phone, the person says their name is Chun Chunlei from Shu Town, but that doesn't matter. He explains that thanks to the protagonist, he met his beloved, so he wants a chance to reconcile with him. Zhang Yi questions if these people from Shu Town tried to attack him before. Chun says yes, so the protagonist immediately asks, now that you realize you can't beat him, you want to make peace? The otaku agrees that it's their fault. Indeed, his people were hasty and attacked him. So, as an apology, Zhang Yi can make a request to Chun, anything, and he'll do it. Only now does the protagonist ask who he is to speak on behalf of Shu Village. Does he represent the people of this village? And if he says yes, how can he prove it? Zhang Yi, confidently in the best place in the world, then says he's the person with powers who fought Zhang Yi twice already. Surprised by this, the protagonist says he now accepts to negotiate and asks again, can he make any request? Chun says yes, anything. So Zhang Yi says what he wants. I want you, Chun. In the protagonist's mind, he wants to recruit the otaku and use his powers, but in the degenerate otaku's mind, he thinks Zhang Yi wants his naked body. Big brother, I don't like men. No, you idiot, I'm interested in your powers. If he really wants to reconcile with Zhang Yi and prevent him from attacking his people, before that, he has to prove he's qualified, so they have to meet in person. The otaku didn't want this at all, but Zhang Yi says it's either this, or he'll destroy his people. Chun doesn't want to meet the protagonist, arguing that if he leaves his people alive in the future, they can unite to face an external enemy if necessary. Please, let's make a deal without me having to come to you. Zhang Yi responds that the biggest enemy is Shu Village now. He stands up from the couch and says, if he doesn't do this, they will be my enemies. It all depends on the otaku now. Without waiting, Zhang Yi warns that he must come to his house at 2:30 this afternoon, and then he hangs up without waiting for a response. The otaku falls to his knees, thinking he's dead now. He's going to die in his prime, just when he was planning to fulfill his desires with his new love. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi thought that with the otaku's power, he has unlimited potential. He can do many things, and he never thought about it. It's certain that this power is better than Uncle Yu's power. He'll decide on the spot whether it's better to make this guy his ally, or to eliminate him. Still tired from setting up the traps earlier, he goes to his room and sleeps reading a book. Sometime later, Yang Mi goes to him, saying she's here to keep him company. Embarrassed about what he might want to do, Zhang Yi just says he needs a better pillow. A few fragrant hours later, Zhang Yi was at his post with his rifle. He watches Chun arriving alone. From here, he could eliminate him. However, seeing the kid slip and fall on his own, he thinks, this guy can't be so threatening. Then he falls again. Watching this behavior, Zhang Yi changes his mind and decides he'll at least talk to him. When the otaku reaches the front of the house, he calls to say he's here. He can't proceed because there are too many traps. He'll end up dying. So it's better for Zhang Yi to come to him. Arriving at the location, the otaku says he's Chun and is here to negotiate with the protagonist. As he asks, Zhang Yi makes it clear, initially, everything started because his people attacked, so his people owe him a debt. Chun acknowledges that, yes, this is true. He's here to ask for his forgiveness. Zhang Yi wants to know who ordered the attack on him. That person must die before they start negotiating. The otaku reveals that it was his grandfather, the village leader, and he already died due to the attack. Zhang Yi, thinking this was too easy, asks if the otaku doesn't want to avenge his grandfather and the others who were killed. Chun responds that his parents died when he was a child. His grandfather was the only important person to him, and he already died as a result of his own actions. Furthermore, Chun feels no resentment or sadness for the deaths of the other villagers. Throughout his life, he was reclusive and only stayed in his room with a computer, never having contact with others. Now unable to contain his excitement, Chun says he admires Zhang Yi. It was incredible how he fought against everyone. Zhang Yi, after hearing all this, says he understands the otaku's side. However, he affirms that he hasn't forgiven them for what they tried to do. The price of his forgiveness is the otaku working for him. Chun wanted to hug Zhang Yi, but he says not yet. He has more rules to say first. From now on, Chun must obey all his orders without questioning questioning anything. Then the otaku's perverted mind makes him ask if Zhang Yi wants his body. Stop being stupid. Zhang Yi takes out an action figure from his storage space. This will be his reward. If you work for me, you can earn even more of these things. In addition to ensuring Chun's family safety, he can reward him with something Chun values highly. Now they must do the first task. Inside the car, the curious otaku asks if the action figure can also control time inside his storage space. Is your power capable of that too? This question makes the protagonist think that maybe going back 3 months in time is part of his power. Maybe he controls time and space. After speeding through vast snowfields, they arrive at the location where the otaku's power will be put to the test. Using his snow power, he manages to, after minutes of maximum effort, clear a path to a gas station completely buried in snow. Zhang Yi immediately thinks, with Chun's powers, it should be even easier to obtain resources for him to store. As a reward, he gives Chun a chocolate, knowing that the user's power depends on his energy. Zhang Yi goes into the gas station to get everything inside, and after a while in there, he comes back. Chun says he's amazing. His power is the best of all. Being able to store everything he wants is perfect for current times. Zhang Yi affirms that the chubby guy also has a great power. He never thought of using his power to dig up things buried by the snow before. Heading back to the car, Chun says he never even thought of leaving his room. He was always too busy dating his wives. To reward his work, Zhang Yi says that as long as he obeys, he'll do well. This backpack full of food is his reward for today only. Very happy, Chun didn't expect so much. He swears he'll follow him forever. On the way back, they now have a bit more intimacy. Zhang Yi asks how the otaku discovered his powers. Ashamed, Chun recounts that after his parents died, he became very sad, immersed himself in the 2D world, and masturbation. Once, after more than 26 times, he thought he was going to die, but the next day, he was alive and had his powers. Zhang Yi covers his face in embarrassment. He never thought someone would awaken after nearly dying 26 times. He says from here on, Chun should return to his village alone. The reason is that his car can't go any further because it's a frozen lake. Before leaving, Zhang Yi asks him to be careful. In the post-apocalyptic world, many things become dangerous, including his own people. While the otaku goes home, the protagonist alone in his car says the kid is a good person. Returning home, the man who is the new village leader scolds Chun for going to deal with Zhang Yi alone. Even though he said it was okay and he knew how to negotiate, the leader was not satisfied. Upon learning that the outcome of the negotiation was cooperation rather than revenge, the old man becomes angry with him. The old leader points and says that it's Chun's fault that so many died. Now he wants to take credit by making friends with the enemy and saying he's protecting the village. The chubby guy tries to explain that he promised his grandfather he would protect the village, and this was the way he managed to prevent Zhang Yi from attacking their village in revenge. The man says it doesn't matter. He's now the new leader of the Zhu clan, so Chun's actions must be consulted with him first. Chun can't do things on his own. The old man also says he wants what's best for everyone. He was only not expelled from the village because the old man defended him, so now he's in debt. From now on, he must pay for his sins. He yells, asking if he understood the message. Understood? Understood? Chun agrees that he did. The old man orders him to go home to recover and wait for new orders. The old leader says again not to act on his own again. Without wasting time, the old man sent a message to the village residents group. Don't worry, I'm in contact with Zhang Yi to ensure our safety. We're no longer in danger. The other people then praise the sixth leader, saying he's amazing. They should have made him clan leader from the beginning. With this, the old man says that such a young loser who never got any real girls can't beat him. Zhang Yi returned home and told his 2 girls what happened. Thanks to their agreement, Chun's people will no longer be a risk to them. Yang Mi says that this is brilliant and was a good choice. Zhou Kier asks if the girl is scared of them. Yang Mi says no, she just didn't want to see any more senseless bloodshed. If things continued, it could get dangerous. Zhou Kier, who is used to this, says that Yang Mi is fearful. She hugs Zhang Yi and says that he's incredible and can defeat whoever he wants. Yang Mi shouldn't doubt that or be afraid. Zhang Yi, on the other hand, defends the idea that it's good for them to have these people around for when new enemies appear in the future. They can be useful. Now that this problem has been resolved, Zhou Kier says they should celebrate. She goes to the bar to get some drinks. Zhang Yi says he's not used to drinking much, so just a little. Meanwhile, Yang Mi will cook for them. Zhou Kier gets the drinks, Yang Mi makes food, and sometime later, the 2 of them are passed out, and Zhang Yi, who doesn't usually drink much, is fine. The 2 of them slept Zhang Yi with lust, saying it's great. Yang Mi opens her eyes and feels a kiss on the mouth, then on the neck. She tells him they can't. Zhou Kier is here and will see them. Zhang Yi goes down, and she holds back from making noise. The next day, the otaku sends a message to the protagonist. Check out the otaku's photo, guys. Chun says he's bored. It's been a long time since they went on a mission. He even suggests they should form a team of 5 people, each wearing a different color like the Power Rangers. Zhang Yi, embarrassed by this guy, starts to wonder if it's really a good idea to ally with such a crazy person. Nervously, the protagonist asks Chun if he doesn't have anything better to do all day. He says unfortunately not. It was just a bit of intimacy, and Chun started sending 200 messages a day. Zhang Yi just started ignoring everything he said and replying without much thought. While the protagonist is on his computer, he sees that Yang Mi is doing her work in the garden perfectly. It seems like everything is going well, but it crosses Zhang Yi's mind. What if they get hacked again? This problem keeps bothering his mind. How can he solve it? As he thinks about this problem, the 2 girls are in the room discussing. Yang Yang Mi wants to help Xin, who is wheelchair bound, but Zhokir says Zhang Yi wouldn't do that. He wouldn't put himself at risk for things that aren't for his benefit. Because of this, Yang Mi says that to convince Zhang Yi, who is very cautious, she will use her most powerful weapon, her body. Zhokir scoffs and says she just wants to seduce her boyfriend and is making up excuses. It's not for Xin. It's not like that. Zhokir goes after the girl, saying she knows about the things they're secretly doing. She questions if her cousin isn't ashamed to do this. Suddenly, Zhang Yi appears in the room asking what's going on, why so much excitement on the bed without him there. They even say that this is a family matter, but he sits next to them and says the three of them have no more secrets. He asks if they're worried about someone in their family. Zhokir responds that since the snowstorm started, she lost contact with her family and doesn't know if any of them are alive. Yang Mi says it was her family that contacted her. The protagonist asks if they contacted her to take Yang Mi with them. She says no, so she's sad because they didn't want to take her with them. Yang Mi explains that, in fact, the person who contacted her is in danger and needs to be safe, so they're secretly discussing how they're going to convince him to go save someone who has nothing to do with him. Yang Mi then begs him to help. This is the only family they have. Zhokir agrees that it has nothing to do with him, but it's their family, and if she dies, they'll feel guilty of the rest of their lives. Besides, his wife's family is his family too. Zhang Yi asks again to make sure, are you asking me to go out there and risk myself for someone else? He reminds them that their information has been exposed. Many other people know that he has many resources here, so this place is a target. Leaving here means leaving it unprotected. He had decided and was leaving the room when they crawl over, begging him to change his mind and think it over. Zhokir says that if he does this, she can ask for anything, and she'll accept it. Whispering in his ear, she says anything at all. It can even involve her and Yang Mi together. Gentlemen, I inform you that Zhang Yi changed his mind. He asks if she's sure about this. The two, embarrassed, say they agree. Yang Mi sighs and says that in this cold weather and with so much snow, a wheelchair-bound person can't even move freely. She gets sad just thinking about it. Zhang Yi asks if they're talking about Xin, the one with technology skills. The 18-year-old girl has her legs paralyzed and is a computer genius. Zhang Yi affirms that if this girl is so important to them, then she's important to him now too. Zhokir is impressed. So does that mean her boyfriend has a good heart? He really loves them to care about their wishes. Yang Mi thanks him happily but says they think poorly of him. He's not a bad person. He genuinely appreciates the girls he has. Impressed, they remark that he always seems like someone cold and with a frozen heart. Yang Mi remembers she'll pay off this debt to him and gets closer, puts her hand in a place they like and says, this is the beginning of repayment. The next day, because things got hot late yesterday, the three of them talk again. He asks about the wheelchair-bound girl. Zhokir says it's better for Yang Mi to say, Xin is trapped in Tianqing Academy. It was the best college in town. People who study there have been attending since kindergarten, so it was a place where many geniuses live. Zhang Yi's doubt is how a wheelchair-bound person survived in a college for months. Yang Mi explains that the college has its own market system, so there should be plenty of supplies in the area since the students lived there. The protagonist asks why Yang Mi only communicated with her now. She doesn't know, but she can try calling to find out more. However, the number in question is not available. Please try again later. Yang Mi has been trying to contact her several times and can't anymore. Zhokir jokes that Xin must have changed her mind about asking for help from her airhead sister. Zhang Yi wants to know the distance from the academy to this place they are. Perhaps because of the distance, the phone lines don't work. The academy is more than 22 kilometers from here, and because of the blizzard, it's likely that they can't call from that far. It's a miracle that she managed to call once. But still, Zhang Yi also says that Zhokir may be right. He tells them to go to the control room. Maybe they can get in touch over the internet. He says that this phone is the best one currently available. On the first attempt, the call is answered. But the connection is bad. They hear a lot of noise and screams saying it's dangerous. Zhang Yi asks what's so dangerous, and then they hear shouts saying, the monster, the monster. The noises coming from the phone sounded like a fierce monster, and then the call dropped. Initially, the protagonist thought it was a simple rescue mission, to go to the location and come back. However, he already knows in advance that there's something very dangerous there. Perhaps it wouldn't be a good idea to go to that place. His women insist that he doesn't change his mind. He already had his reward last night. Zhang Yi confidently says he won't change his mind. However, for that, he'll need his subordinates and their power. With Uncle Yu, the otaku, and him with their weapons, maybe it won't be dangerous. He picks up the phone and says he has a mission to rescue someone. Do you want to come with me? The otaku accepts and says he was really bored anyway. Later, while eating, Zhang Yi thinks that if he eats too much, it could affect his movements, but he also needs to eat enough to have maximum energy for his powers. In addition to preparing his physical form, he has to prepare his best weapons to face this unknown creature. He also informs his wives that for their safety, they will stay in the underground floor of the house. Yang Mi asks why, and Zhokir, knowing what her boyfriend is like, says she shouldn't ask stupid questions. If he ordered and didn't ask, then it's to be done. He'll go alone, and if someone invades their house during that time, he's away. His wives will be protected inside the safest place in the house. Those doors no one can open. Understanding the situation, Zhokir says it's okay and wishes him luck. Yang Mi says he must bring her sister home. Zhang Yi confirms that he'll make sure to bring her and all the wheels of the wheelchair here. As he leaves, he says in these dark times, he can't be careless with anything, especially with his wives. Bro, I'm here. Zhang Yi says they agreed to meet later, so why is he here already? Chun says he was afraid of being late, late, so he came early not to disappoint his brother Zhang Yi. They got into the car right away because it's very cold. Zhang Yi explains that they're on a mission to save a girl in a college far from here. Curious, Chun asks if she's important to him, and the protagonist says yes, it's something like that. We know what really convinced him wasn't the request from his wives that made him change his mind, but the fact that this girl knows a lot about computers at this moment when he needs someone to keep his mansion safe from.
Subscribe for next episode.